Welcome to A Guide to Seasons, Part 3, The Grass Debate. With me, MrSealyp. In this episode, this will be looking at all things grass. I have had lots of comments, lots of feedback regarding Seasons mod and grass, what happens with it, how things happen to it, and there seems to be a lot of conflicting information. I've been onto the Realismus Modding website, I downloaded all the information, I've printed it all out, I've read through it, yet people are still not claiming different things, but obviously on their game they are experiencing certain things. So this is going to be my perspective on PS4, what I'm experiencing. I have got Seasons mod on, but just standard Seasons. This is not, there's no Geo mod added to this, this is just the bog standard Seasons. I've got it running on a 3-day cycle, not a 6 or a 9, but at the end of the day that will only make a difference. Actually, things will happen quicker on a 3-day mode because it shortens down the season. But anyway, I'm going to be looking at baling. I'm going to bale square, bale round. I'm going to put into a loading wagon. I'm also going to wrap grass. But what I'm going to start off with first, before I skip right ahead, I was waiting for the grass to grow completely so I could do this demonstration, kind of look at what's happening a bit more effectively. But what I thought I would start with is the tedding situation. If you look in the top right hand corner, on the left hand end there's a symbol that's got raindrops. That's saying the ground is too wet. If I get out the Wopster and do that now, it's telling me it's grass, 67% grown, so it's not fully grown yet, but the crop moisture, the next one down, says 25%. That's the maximum moisture level it will show you, which means the crop is too moist. You've then got fertilising state, which obviously it's on 0. This is just standard grass, it's not a field of grass. And then the bottom is the ground wetness. And the ground wetness doesn't have any effect on console at the moment. They are hoping that it will have an effect on ploughing and various different things at a later date. But what should happen now is when I cut this, and I'm going to do it with the swath. No, I'm not doing it with the swath. What happened there? I had the wrong door open. There we go. Right, so I'm getting a swath in the middle. So I'm cutting this grass. I don't need to do too much of it. That's fine. Turn that off. Lift those up. And get this out of the way. Now, what should happen, and I'm hoping this is going to work, if I check the grass now, I don't know if it will register the actual swath itself. Let's see. Grass 33%. Same thing, it's still showing as 25% crop moisture, 58% ground, but it's saying on this section the ground is now at 33% because it's taking it back to the first growth stage because I've cut it. Okay, now this grass on the ground, technically, because the crop was wet and I've cut it, this shouldn't allow me to ted this now because it's too wet. We'll see. Because I had people telling me it does work, it will let you ted, and other people saying it won't, you can't. I've only ever cut the grass and tedded when it's been dry enough to do so. So let's see, let's turn that on, drop that down. And if you notice, it's turning it over, but the colour is not changing, it is staying as grass. It won't let you ted it because it's too wet. That's got to sit out and that's got to dry. It will need to dry in the sun for a while before it will allow me to turn that into hay. So that's the first thing. They're not myths. I was going to say myth dispelled. It's not a myth, it's just various different things people have said. So there we go. Tedding will only work, drop that down, once the ground is dry enough. It is now 2:15 in the afternoon, same day, but if you look in the top right hand corner, at the left hand end, the crop moisture symbol, logo, whatever you want to call it, has gone. If I turn on the Wopster now and check the ground, it now says, if you go to the fourth one down, it says the crop moisture is 15%, and the very bottom one, the ground moisture, has gone down anyway. So it's at 15%. So it has dropped from 25 to 15, which means this should have dried out now. Not completely. I could leave it longer, as long as it's well, I'm going to go into that in a bit more detail. As long as it's before midnight. What we'll do is start this up, drop it down, and hopefully now this has dried out enough that when I go over it, it will change colour. There we go. So we are now making hay. So all we had to do was wait for the crop moisture level to drop. And if I cut more grass now, it would allow me to cut and ted at the same time, no problem at all, if I wanted to. For example, I could use this with the tedder on the back, and I could cut and ted at the same time, because the actual crop moisture level is fine to do that. If you cut the grass when it's wet, you've got to leave it to dry before you can get it to turn into hay. So that's the first thing kind of looked at and done. So moving onward. Okay, the next test I'm going to complete. I was going to try and show you the swaths I'd already done, but it wasn't as clear to see. So what we're going to do now is look at the actual grass degradation after it's been cut and left on the ground. So what I'm going to do, I've opened up the flaps on the back of the mower, so the first bit I do is going to be just a plain old cut, like so. And what happens is, when you cut grass in game, it puts it down in layers. So because I've cut that, I've now got a layer of grass. If I windrow, which I'm going to do next, I'll get a kind of pile in the middle. That's more than one layer. It kind of builds up because you're putting all of this into one pile. If I collected this in the loading wagon and dumped it by the side in a huge pile, that would be kind of multiple layers as you go up. I'm not sure how many layers would be in a pile. Obviously I'm not a modder. I don't do kind of coding side of things. I'm not quite sure how that actually works. But at the moment we've got a layer. So what I'm going to do here is now change that to closed, and we'll do a swath for the rest, like so. And what's going to happen is, it says at midnight, but it's kind of over a time period. This will degrade. And normally when it gets to about midnight, I've got the time set at 120 so I can speed through. And what we'll do is we'll jump to around midnight or just after. And what should happen is, because this is in a swath, there's more than one layer here. So it will degrade. This will die down a little bit. There won't be as much here. But this should disappear completely. That's kind of showing you it's rotting away. And with grass it happens very, very quickly. I say very, very quickly, I mean overnight. One layer will vanish. A swath you will lose, I'm sure it's like 50%. I'm sure in a swath it's like 2 layers, I think. I could be wrong, but we'll see how that kind of pans out. We'll look at putting into a loading wagon in a minute, but I want to do, I'm just kind of working my way through trying to do it in a kind of systematic order. And because the grass still isn't at 100%, I mean, I could do it all now just as it is. I don't know why I'm waiting for 100%, but I wanted to show this example first. So what you will do is we'll see at just after midnight, hopefully, and see the difference. I'll put the torch on and we'll see at some point that will vanish, and hopefully this will still be here, but there'll be less of it. So you'll see that degradation if you leave the grass on the ground. So, as you've just seen, we got to about, well, just after 1 o'clock, 1:30. Time is still sped up. I haven't skipped through the night, and this layer here has vanished. The grass is now at 100% growth. If I turn around here, the straw swath is still here, but it's not as kind of rounded. it has degraded. So one layer vanishes completely. All the stuff I put behind here on that one layer has gone. That's all pretty much. There's a couple of little bits here, but it's pretty much all gone. The swath itself has probably depleted by about 50%. There is still some here, but it doesn't look as full and nice as it did before. So that's kind of test 2 in a way. The tedding bit's done. Now we've looked at the swath degradation. It doesn't happen at midnight exactly, but it does happen overnight. You will lose a layer of grass. So if you've got a swath or a mound, you'll still have some left, but you will lose a fair bit of it. So that leads us into the next bit, which is baling. When you've got your swaths, when you've got your grass cut, bale it. If you leave it in a pile on the ground as a swath or flat out like that, it will degrade, it will disappear. You need swaths. No, not swaths, bales. You need bales. We're going to move on to bales in a minute. So here we are, it's 20 to 6 in the morning. If I put on the Wopster and check the grass now, grass is at 100% growth, moisture's down to 8%, ground moisture is at 8% as well. So we are going to mow. I'm going to do a fair bit. It's all going to go into a swath. And then we're going to do baling, round bales, square bales, and we're going to do some silage bales, and then we're going to look at the effects they have, the difference between leaving a swath on the floor, difference between bales. We'll also look at leaving a bale outside, leaving a bale inside, and does it make a difference with grass? As far as I'm aware, no, it doesn't make any difference. The grass will degrade regardless of what you choose to do. So first up, I'm going to do square bales. I'm only going to do a couple of each, just as a kind of demonstration. One I'll leave outside, one I'll put inside. So once I've got a couple of each, that'll be fine. Hoping I'm going to have enough for a couple of each. If not, we'll just cut some more grass. That should be fine. Okay, turn it off. So it's 2 square. We'll do 2 rounds, then 2 silage, and we'll stick some into the loading wagon as well. And we'll see what effect that has in a loading wagon. Shouldn't make any difference. Shouldn't have any effect at all. It will still degrade, but just to prove the point. Next up round. Now the other thing I want to show you is with the Wopster. If we check these bales now, that's 4,000 litres in that bale. Okay, so at the moment that's exactly how it should be. They should say 4,000, I just did them. 4,000 litres. Okay, so our bales are fine. Now it has been argued that the bales don't degrade. They do the same as the grass does. At midnight you'll lose some. It has also been argued that these degrade immediately. So the grass, you will lose layers at midnight or around midnight, whereas the bales will start to degrade straight away. So grass bales technically are no good. You can't do anything with the grass bale because they're going to start to degrade straight away. That's no good. You're better off doing the grass, turning them into hay. Hay bales will last fine as long as they're taken indoors. I say indoors, under cover. Not end up to put them in your living room or something like that. As long as they're under cover, hay bales are fine. Grass bales will degrade. If you do it like this and make grass bales, the only good thing they're going to be for is silage bales. So the next thing I'm going to do is do a couple of silage bales and show you exactly what I mean. So the grass itself is no good. You leave it loose, you put it into a loading wagon, which we're going to check in a minute. Is that still turned on? Pickup's still on. There we go. It really isn't a particularly great product, but if you're going to make silage bales out of it, that's fine. If you're going to use it straight away, that's fine. Otherwise, make it into hay. But obviously a lot of your animals do need grass. So, last one then, let's get a couple of silage bales wrapped. So that's our two silage bales. Same thing again, if I get the Wopster on them. 4,000 litres in there. They're now starting to ferment, and it's going to take 24 hours for them to ferment. But that grass shouldn't degrade. There should still be 4,000 litres in that, but that will be silage in 24 hours. These will start to degrade, so I'm going to speed up time a little bit. I'm going to put some grass into a loading wagon, and we'll see if these start to degrade immediately. Okay, we've got just over 20,000 litres in there, 20,026. I've got my bales. What I'm going to do is speed up time a little bit now. We're going to move forward an hour and see if it's made any difference to these bales, whether they've degraded or not in that first hour. That should hopefully dispel the argument of whether or not grass only degrades at midnight or around midnight. And then what we'll do, we'll put one bale of each undercover, probably into the store, and I'm going to put the loading wagon in there as well. Then we'll go past midnight again and we'll see what happens with the degradation there, and that should be then, hopefully. I'm sure people will still argue that on theirs it's done something different, and that could be down to the fact whether you're running your seasons on a 3, 6, 9 or even further day cycle. We'll see how that pans out. It's going to rain tomorrow, so hopefully I shouldn't have to do any more cutting. That should be everything done. Right. Now this is only grass bales I'm looking at. I'm not touching straw swaths, hay bales, anything like that at the moment. I am just looking at the grass situation. So let's speed up time. Okay, I've gone forward more than an hour. A couple of hours, just over a couple of hours. First thing I'm going to check is in here. That's still saying 20,026. So the loose grass still seems to me like that will only be affected a layer at a time, and that will happen around or after midnight. Now let's look at the bales. That's now down to 3,986 litres. That has started to degrade. That was on 4,000 litres. It has started to degrade. Check this one. 3,986 litres. The bales are degrading immediately. As time passes, they are degrading. The grass in there, the loose stuff, only seems to be affected at around midnight. Now these should still be at 4,000. There you go. They're wrapped. They're 9.52% fermented, 22 hours to go, and I will have silage in those, but they have not degraded at all because they're wrapped. That grass is now turning into silage, so it does appear to be true. Let's just have another quick check. Okay, it's now 11:09. Let's check again. 3,972. They are degrading. And at quite a consistent rate as well. So, there we go. There is the proof. They are degrading over time. Unlike the grass in here, which if I check again, should still say 20,026. The loose grass is unaffected. Right, what I'm going to do now is move on to the final step. I'm going to stick the bales, one of each inside, and I'm going to take the loading wagon inside under cover as well. We'll get to just past midnight, and we'll see what happens. Right, we've just gone past midnight, and in the loading wagon we've lost half. We were on 20,026, we're on 10,013, so we've lost 50% of our grass in the loading wagon at midnight. Bales, 3,911. They are faring a lot better. I haven't lost half off of those, which is interesting to see. So baling them gives you better longevity. They are still degrading. I'm still losing from those, but I'm not losing as quickly as if it's loose. So baling them definitely makes a difference. They are going to last longer, but not as long. But not as long as you'd hope. Mind you, that said, that's not going to help at all. What we will do is whiz outside and check the ones outside, although it is raining in here as well, which doesn't seem to make a lot of difference. I'm pretty sure they're going to be, they will have degraded at exactly the same rate outside. So inside or outside the bales, the grass bales, it makes no difference. They are still degrading. Now I know I've set time a bit faster, but let's set the light on. Yep, still degrading. It's made no difference whatsoever. They're still degrading. Inside or outside they are still degrading, but they are degrading at a slower rate than if you leave it loose. So, there we go. That loading wagon, that was dramatic. 50% drop straight away. This, still 4,000 litres, only 2 hours to go, and that'll be fully fermented. I think we're getting some proof here, some things are happening. Actually, I don't want to leave it out there really, do I? But these bales will still degrade to nothing. Grass bales are fine if you use them straight away or within the first, I would say probably, well, I haven't even lost 1,000 litres yet off of either of them. Now I was told they will only last 2 days, but if they degrade at that rate, they'll last you about 8 days. Oh, I don't have to leave the lights Yeah, because if they haven't even degraded 1,000 litres in a day, only just over 500 litres. So just over 5. Oh, mind you, hasn't been a day yet, has it? Because I didn't do them until later on, did I? But okay, even if you allow 1,000 litres a day degradation, they will last you 4 days. Although by the time you get to the 4th day, you've only got 1,000 litres in each bale, which isn't really going to help you very much. But it does prove the point. Hopefully, I've dispelled some of the arguments, maybe reinforced some of the arguments the other way. Doing it loose, leaving it on the ground, you are going to lose a layer. It's going to disappear. A swath will last a little bit longer. If you put it into a loading wagon at midnight, and that I think goes for trailers as well and conveyor belts, anywhere it's left out at midnight, you're going to lose half of it. That's quite scary. Baling will increase the longevity of your grass, but it still degrades, and it degrades immediately. It doesn't wait till midnight. These will degrade hour upon hour upon hour. The only way to keep your grass safe, I say safe because it actually turns into something else, is to wrap it and use it for silage, unless you're going to use it straight away. But there you go, that's grass. Hopefully that has sorted out some issues and arguments. I'm sure people still say that on theirs it did something different, and again, like I say, that could be down to the amount of days you're running your seasons on. I wouldn't have thought there would be a difference between PC, Xbox or PS4. I would imagine the seasons runs exactly the same, unless you've got a PC mod that slows down degradation or something like that. But I'm not aware there is one, but maybe there is. Who knows? And I'm sure I will have missed something. I'm sure somebody will let me know that you should have checked this, that, or the other. This was about grass. This was not about hay, although I did show you tedding just to explain what you had to do with the grass to get your hay. I'm not looking at hay bales, not looking at straw bales in this. This was predominantly grass. I hope it's been useful, helpful in some way, shape or form, even if it's just to give you an idea of how best to use your bales loose. Whatever you're going to do with your grass, that is entirely up to you. If you have enjoyed it or found it useful in some way, shape or form, give us a like. If you don't subscribe yet, please do. If you want to leave a comment, feel free. And if you want to share this video, then please be my guest. Whatever you should choose to do. Thanks for watching.